We have more evidence proving that our members of parliament are absolute idiots. Now, a lot of people have different views on what's going on in the Middle East. A lot of people are saying, well, we should support Israel, or the Jews have a right to exist. And some people say, no, they don't. Some people say, well, we're worried about the civilians in Palestine. The Palestinian territory is fine. Some people are saying we shouldn't do the strike against the Houthis in Yemen. Some people say, no, we should. They went too far. Forget about what you think, because these are just opinions. We get that. People have different positions. But constitutionally, our MPs are not supposed to be thinking the way we think. They are supposed to be, well, they're supposed to have more wisdom. And they're supposed to be the protectors of the Constitution. But they're not. Because Layla Moran, for example, is a classic example of an idiot. A liberal Democrat. And, of course, anti-Israel. So she's come out to have a meltdown on TV and on social media saying the government should have come to Parliament to ask permission for a last-minute emergency strike against the Houthis. Again, some of you might be in favour of what we did against the Houthis. Some people would say, why are we getting involved? That's different. Constitutionally speaking, objectively speaking, the government, the executive, doesn't have to go to Parliament to say, okay, let's have a meeting next week in Parliament, have a debate, have a vote, and basically alert our enemies that we might come to you guys 2 weeks from now. When something has to happen last minute, you have to do it. And they have the right. Constitutionally, the executive has the power. Let's go to Layla Moran, see what this idiot is ranting about.
All MPs have constituents whose voices deserve to be heard in this. And just because the leader of the opposition has been consulted, the other party leaders, to the best of my knowledge, were not. But there is also an important convention here, which was hard fought off the back, frankly, of the Iraq War, whereby even if it were retrospective, and there are examples of retrospective votes that have happened in the past, most notably Syria, that convention was only broken in those 20 years by the 2018 non-vote by Theresa May, where we didn't have a chance to have that vote. And the reason why that's important, I should say, wanting a debate and a vote isn't necessarily dissent. It's about the questions that need to be answered. Most important of those questions is, first of all, the end game, the risk of escalation, whilst on the one hand, I absolutely, and the Liberal Democrats have said repeatedly, we think that what the Houthis are doing is against international law. We support the UN resolutions that say they must stop. It has to be balanced very carefully, the response to the chances of escalation.
Now, do you really think that she cares about innocent civilians and the stability of the world order? No. It's simply the Liberal Democrats wanting to play with the big boys. She said at the beginning, said, well, they have actually consulted the leader of the opposition, the Labour Party. What about us, smaller party? The whole point was that it's about the government and the opposition. His Majesty's most loyal opposition. Now, again, this is not an argument to be pro or against military interventions. Now, one example she used was, well, since the Iraq War, we created a new convention. Blair brought it to Parliament. We debated and voted, blah, blah, blah. This has not been pro or against. You could be pro what we did in Iraq. You could be against what we did in Iraq, like me. But the point was, that was a mistake. Now, you might be like, well, what do you mean a mistake? We didn't want that war to happen. How are we going to supposed to stop it? Well, the vote in Parliament didn't stop it. A million people going to the streets didn't stop it. This is the power of the executive. You don't like it, you vote out the party in government next time in the next election. Whether you like it or not, that's how the Constitution works. You can't get members of Parliament who are mostly backbenchers, who are simply representative of their constituencies, go to the House of Commons on live TV, and the government comes and shares sensitive intel and information about a secret operation that they were supposed to be doing, but debated publicly. But our enemies are going to know what we're planning. You can't really let them know the plan before it actually happens. So what you need instead, you actually have a better political class so that they don't really go out and invade countries randomly. But it has to be in the power of the executive to make sensitive decisions last minute. Imagine having that situation with bin Laden in 2011 and the president and Obama and all the others saying, okay, fine, we've discovered where he is. We have 10 minutes to go in and take out bin Laden. But let's have a vote and debate for the next 2 months in Congress and see what we decide. This is basically the political parties like the Lib Dems trying to get involved. They don't know the Constitution, or they know it, but they want to completely undermine it. Constitution matters. having that alongside all the other issues, that our MPs are stupid. They genuinely are. When we had the situation a couple of years ago with this David Amos, when he was attacked and of course his life was taken from him, and by a terrorist, you know what the MPs did? They went to the House of Commons, had a massive meeting and a vote and debate about how, because of what happened to David Amos, we need to increase and accelerate the plans to bring forward the online safety bill. So we literally have terrorists with physical, actual knives and weapons and everything else. But no. The MPs thought that would be a good opportunity to go after people posting controversial tweets, mean tweets. This is the level of intelligence, lack of intelligence we're getting from our MPs right now. This is the problem.